Hello guys, my name is Nato Safix, and today we're doing yet another coaching class for the Gosu Academy. What we'll be talking about today is partly about how to build a team culture. What I say with this is it's kind of an underrated thing, understanding how to make a team feel like a team, and in some regard make a team feel like a family. But it's one of those things that will massively like better your performance as a team, and it will probably also lead to a lot less changing of players. So it's one of the best things you can do. It gives you a ton of mental strength that you can take with you into matches, and it makes it easier for you to like come back in a tough match. That's one of the things we'll be discussing. We also had a couple of questions here from some of the lovely people in the academy. And the first one is, how do you deal with people who don't listen or people who are toxic, basically? And honestly, this is an issue I deal with almost every single day in Face It, because that's just the nature of Face It, basically. Um, what I do with people who don't listen is, first of all, I think I rarely ever give up on my teammates. Like, no matter what, I will almost always be trying to get them included in the rounds. Like, I will be saying, okay, let's do this strat, and you have this row, and you have to buy this utility, and you have to do this and that. But also, I am naturally a player who communicates a lot, and I think if you are someone who communicates a lot, then people are also more likely to communicate in your matches. Um, when people don't listen, a lot of the times I will turn it kind of on them and ask them why they're not listening. The same way you would if it was like a person that you meet on the street, or if you were a teacher in a class or whatever, or if you're telling your friend a story and it's clear they're not listening. To me, not listening is not even a matter of being, a good or a bad teammate. It's a matter of respect. And what I will always try is to, you know, get people to listen to me. But then also, if they don't, I will take it, not necessarily personally, but after having tried a few times with the same person, if I recognize they're not listening, I will kind of take it as disrespect, and instead I will try to just focus on other things. Because a ton of people in this game don't want to improve, or don't want to be the best version of themselves. And in some way, that's also okay that they don't want that. Um, but obviously, in my opinion, if you're playing like a face it match or whatever, it should be something where you always want to win. Like, I don't think Face It is something you play to have fun. Well, I mean, it should be fun, of course, but it shouldn't be. I mean, it can be a casual environment as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably a little bit biased because I'm pretty high up in Elo right now. I think number 200 in Europe right now. And at that level, at least, I would say, it definitely ain't a casual thing. But I had a guy, I played against him today, and I played with him yesterday randomly. A Faceit player, his name was like Black Type or something like this, maybe with a 4, I don't know. But this was actually a player who gave me a ton of issues with this, because I called a piss round. I said, you have to go B with 2 of your teammates. Everyone followed the plan perfectly, and he went mid on Anubis, for example. Then later in the match, in a really important round, we called an A rush, and he went B. And this is a player who has 3,000 elo in European Faceit. So it should be a guy who's pretty good at the game, but he just decides to not listen. Then later on, I got him on my team again, and I asked him, why didn't you listen earlier? And his response was that he was upset that 3 of our teammates were playing bad, or something like this. But he then proceeded in this second game, which was on Ancient, also to not listen and also do the opposite of what we were calling. And now I played with him again today, and he was on team with some German top players that I happen to know. And I asked him after the game, like, okay, did this guy, do what you wanted? And the response I got was that this guy, he was just doing the opposite of what they were saying, complaining constantly and being toxic and stuff like that. And these kind of people, you won't be able to change them, because you can only change people who want to change. And this guy clearly doesn't want to change. So I think the best way to deal, it's a kind of a long answer, but the best way you can deal with people who don't listen or people who are toxic is just call them out for it if they're being toxic. Especially if they're not being toxic to you. If they're being toxic to a teammate, tell them like, hey, no need to be toxic. We're all friends here. We want to win, blah, blah, blah. If that doesn't work, eventually, like if you've given enough tries, kind of just give up on them, ignore them. I typically also tell them that I'm going to, downvote them or like report them after the game. And sometimes that does actually have an impact because, Faceit is kind of, I do think they ban people for toxicity now. Yeah, it does work in some cases. So I wish there was a good answer. The best thing I can say is try to change their ways, and if they refuse, then just ignore them, mute them, or just act like they're not there, or just start calling tactics where you can let them do their own thing and you can do something yourself. So that was one of the questions we got. The other question was, how do you set up a strat and get people to remember it? So I'm going to show you a strat on Ancient, which I think is super sick. I don't think I've shown it to you before. And maybe I won't show you everything. We'll see. But basically, when I'm preparing a strat for my team, actually let me think here, because maybe I want to show you something else. No, let me just show you this. So basically, talking about also what things have become new meta on Ancient, because I think this will also be part of today's session, is, and this has been the meta on Ancient for quite a while, is that you have a B anchor, you have a B cave player, you have you have one mid player, you have one A player, and you have one rotation player, basically. And what a lot of people do, especially in high elo Faceit, is that every round you do smoke mid from spawn, and then you come over with one of the mid player will come over and molo and maybe nade and dodge flash, and then they will fight here. And then as soon as they have this, they will start jumping up here and they will start fighting this. In these kind of rounds, typically the rotation player is almost like a second mid player. And what they will do is they will, if they have the first spawn, they are going to peek heaven. And if they have the second spawn, they're going to come here and hold the down mid smoke. Now, I've talked about this a lot on my stream. This seems like a really, really strong setup. And for the most part in Faceit it is, because you get to fight from heaven, you get to fight from cave, and the ramp player, because of the distraction, can kind of walk down and be ready to fight here as well. A lot of people do this, especially against low money, because they know, okay, if we're fighting Tech 9s or whatever from here, the long ranges and stuff like that, it's just really, really free. But what I think is a really great counter to this is there any way I can bring up the map? Yes. Okay, so imagine we have a B player who's playing like long side. Doesn't really matter where they're playing, but let's just assume they're playing in this area. Then you have a cave player, and on these kind of rounds, the cave player is running forward in cave, and they will be playing in this area. They will be using typically, at least at the high level, a Molotov here, and they will bounce a nade here that goes there. And so you have one player here, one player here. Then you have the A player. Let's just say they're playing somewhere on A. Right? Then you have one mid player who is around here, holding this. And you have another mid player who is around here, holding this. Can anyone see the issue with this? Or like what is abusable by what you can abuse against teams who play like this?
You can go A on with fast pace.
Yeah. And what do you accomplish with that? Like, why is that so good?
Because the nearest player is one mid, and that's pretty far.
Yeah.
For donut. So
that's exactly it.
If you can smoke him out donut, like the A player is completely isolated and have to fight against 5 people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Does anyone see any other things that we could do in such a round?
B-pop is good as well.
Yes, completely agree. Those were basically the two answers I was looking for. And why is a Bebop good?
I mean, you can catch the long guy and take side for free, and maybe then just try to kill the cave guy, because most of the time he'll be there to help the long guy if he'll hear that there's like a B-pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's completely true. This is the exact answers I was looking for, guys. And I'm really impressed that you guys actually like spotted it this fast. So how can we make it so we have a bigger likelihood of killing the long player? Like, how can we make it so we give ourselves a better duel against him? There's one piece of utility I'm pretty sure everyone here knows that makes this so much easier. And that piece of utility is a simple Molotov. What do we accomplish with this Molotov?
That the cave guy not can go on site.
Exactly. So he gets stuck in here, right? And he can only hold this, or maybe he can hold like, maybe he can hold this, but probably not. Like depending on how the Molotov is, if it lands deep and stuff. So by doing this Molotov, you make it so you can take a running path where you can fight the long guy as the only guy, right? And where are the rotations right now? One is forward cave, who is wanting to come back and help. You have two mid players who aren't in position to help, because the fastest rotation, or like the best rotation from them, would be going backlines, but they are so far forward in mid that they can't go back. Yeah? So, is there another piece of utility that we can do that will greatly increase our likelihood of winning this round? Maybe a piece of utility from around here?
Smoking short or deep city?
I think like deep CT is kind of the answer I was looking for. But basically what I think is the best piece of utility you can do as well is doing like a deep backline smaller. So that if the mid players, as you are B-popping, decide to run back to backlines, or maybe if they've taken mid control and then they've gotten blocked whatever, they don't see you, if they rotate back to backlines, you want them to be blocked for long enough that you can smoke this off, and now they're trapped behind the smoke and they can't really do anything. So I'll show you a way you can accomplish this. Basically, you can do like a window smoke from spawn. This smoke is not really necessary to accomplish this, but it is something that will make the CTs feel a little bit more pressured in mid. If they don't feel any pressure in mid whatsoever, maybe they just smoke this and they go two people fighting heaven. If they do feel like with the window smoke that they like we could flash out mid and kill them now, then maybe they keep one guy standing here. But basically, the round can be really simple. All you gotta do is you just come here, you do this smoke. Now you remove the kind of vision or even the advantage from having a heaven player. Like, sure, he can spam these smokes and stuff like that, but that's about it. The same with the cave player. He can come here, he can spam the smokes, that's about it. They can also nade the smoke. But as long as you are having good timing on this, you will basically win. And it's a really easy tactic because you can like do the window smoke, and you can do this smoke. You can even do it with a lineup, but you can also just bounce it like I did. And then all you need is just this Molotov, and then all you need is this Molotov, and then you just go up. This is an example of a strat that counters something that is very meta. And if I was the IGL, and I would want to teach my teammates this strat, and I want them to remember it, well, what the pro teams do is, first someone makes the strat, that's kind of obvious. Then if you are the one who made the strat, or if you're an IGL who makes many strats or finds many strats, whatever, the best thing you can do is before you like bring this tactic to your team, is already sort of assign roles. Like if you, for example, have an AWP player, right, who might have an AWP when you want to run this round, it makes a lot of sense that they are the ones doing this Molotov because they will be more in the back. If you have an entry fragger, it would make a lot of sense for you to make the entry fragger the person who's going first up ramp, right? And so these are just small things, but they do effectivize, like, is that even a word? I don't know, but at least they make the time that you spend effective, because you don't need to first show the strat and then agree on roles, and then you need to do all these things. But then what a pro team will also do is all pro teams have a strat book, which is a document where you not only write down the names of the strat, you don't just write down the ideas of the strat, you don't just write, you know, what is like, how can I say, you don't just write what utility you need and stuff like that. You write everyone's unique role into it, and you write also what you have to do in the round. So like, let's say for example, I am the AWP player. Maybe I'll write something like, okay, I do one of the smokes, I will go over, I'll do the Molotov. After this I gotta care heaven because maybe the smoke here is starting to fade, and then I can whatever, you know. What teams do when they set up like this is they typically will have a session, like a theory session, where they agree on the roles, or maybe the roles are already predetermined, kind of. But then what a lot of teams will do is they will make, for example, the entry fragger. I'll just use people from my own team as an example. Like we have AIM. So if she's the entry fragger, she would have to write down her own role as entry. It would be something like, okay, I will go out B, I'm gonna go close to this box. When the Molotov fades on B, I'm gonna run up and I will just hard focus long. Right? And then maybe the second person's role is, I will stay close to Mia, I will run up and check copy and be ready to trade, for example. And this kind of thing is, you know, what makes people remember. But what's so good about it is also, if you have a round in a match where you feel like someone messed something up, you can always go back to the strat book and you can check and see, okay, does this match what we wrote down when we invented the strat? Just for the sake of this strat, I'll show you one more smoke that could potentially help you in this strat. If you go here and you aim left side on the black line here and you do jump throw, smoke goes very high over, and then it goes down here and lands inside cave. And what's so good about this is, with the smoke and the Molotov, you make it so the CT basically can't go out, and also it makes it so you can cross to long without having to worry about cave. So it's just another piece of utility. And again, don't forget the backline Molotov. This is like one of the most important pieces of utility on Ancient. This is what stops the rotation from coming in and helping the B players, and that is extremely, extremely important. Does that kind of answer your question about how to set up a strat? I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah, no, that does. Cool.
Perfect. Great. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so guys, now I'll show you some of the newest meta things on Ancient, because obviously pro teams and also just people who face it are inventing things all the time, and it's not necessarily something where, how can I say, it's not like reinventing Counter-Strike. Some of these things are quite small adjustments, or teams just choosing to do a certain thing more and more. Like, I'll see if I can give you an example. Hard to find an Ancient example, maybe. But like, I'll just tell you, when Ancient came out, I was standing in for Complexity. And at this moment, I was playing with JKS, I believe, as the anchor. I think that's when Ancient came out. And I had almost no like experience on the map. They had played it already a little bit. I think it come out like a month ago or something. And I saw JKS do a ton of cool things, like he was holding this kind of an off angle, so that for the T's, when they go out, you know, maybe they go out, the jiggle list, the clear boost, and then like as they're going out here and peeking CT, now he would be sitting here and killing them. And then on timing, he would be standing up, so in case they boost, he would be checking it like this. And I thought this was really cool. It was also very good at playing, you know, behind side, playing these headshot angles. And I remember, because this was CSGO, he even had a lineup from back here or something where he aimed on something and it landed. So I'll try to throw a smoke that kind of mimics it. Like, imagine that the smoke kind of landed like this, and there was like a slight gap here where he could see feet. So basically he smoked, but if the T tried to cross here, then he would see their foot, and then he would know, okay, he's hiding in this corner, and then he could Molotov it after. He had like plenty of really, really cool tricks. And that was now like 3 years ago, right? People have been cooking with the map, and what is basically the norm now is you basically don't have an A player at all. Plenty of teams, including the team that my team played today, they play almost every round 3B and 2 on mid. And the reason why a lot of teams do this is because, first of all, getting back to A in time is most of the time possible. If you go, like we talked about, you do the smoke, you do the Molotovs, whatever, you do the nades. If no one goes out here, all it takes for you is just like a couple of seconds to check it, and then you can actually have one guy going back to A if that's the way you choose to play it. Also, typically when the T's are rushing, if you are like anywhere near Donut, you can hear them rushing and you'll be able to get out here and kind of fight the first guy. And all these duels in Donut are duels where you can kind of get a kill and fall back a little bit, get another kill, fall back a little bit. Or you can keep fighting, you can swing. It's very easy for your other mid player to just like throw flashes as he's running over A side. So when you are here, you're fighting with flashes in the back. Anyone who's quick rotation from B can come over, can do just flash like this. Like there are so many ways where you can stop an incoming rush from the T's. And also a lot of the time the T's will be doing, you know, a donut smoke, which will have travel time. And the donut smoke will be also a big indicator that you are rushing A. So because of this, and also because if you get smoked, the bomb site is not that big that it's easy to plant. So you can listen for the plant and you can spam the plant. You can spam basically every single plant. The only one you can't spam from Donut is this one. But this one is basically impossible to plant in because the other rotators will be coming in from CT and they likely want spam here, but it's very risky to be sitting and planting the bomb down. Also because you will have to first cross Donut and they can blow open the Donut smoke. There's like so many things that can go wrong. The same thing, if you try to plant, the CTs can always muller the side, and it's just, even if you actually rush A and you go to an open A bomb site, it can sometimes be really difficult to win the round as T. This not to say, because I don't believe that playing without an A player is always good. Some teams choose to basically play it like that. But what the pro teams are doing a lot of the time is they've realized now that if you want to go A, if you want to, I mean, we've known this for a while, but this lamp makes these kind of peaks really uncomfortable. Either you got a peak like this, which is like peeking close to a wall, which never feels nice, or you have to jump, like, maybe you can jump up here, you can actually still see the shadow, and then you can like peek whatever. Or you can go from this side, and you can take fights, or you can basically rush, right? So what the top teams now are doing is they most of the time play without an A player, and then sometimes they have the AWP player playing A. So why is it that I mean, I just told you why it makes sense for players to, like why some teams choose to kind of almost play no on A and play it on retake. And why is it pro teams choose to sometimes start an AWP player here? Anyone got any idea?
Oh, it's a question.
Yeah, sorry. It's definitely a question,
Uh,
yeah. Like, why do you think that pro
do we
teams...
have like, I mean, do they how many players playing mid? How much is mid security good? Like,
Let's say you have a round where, like, let's say you play random number. 80% of your buy rounds, you play with no on A.
okay.
Yeah? Why is it that in 20% of the rounds, just a random number again, will teams choose to play like 2 B players, 2 mid players, and an AWP on A?
But let's say because maybe because the Opper is safe. He can jump in the temple, hide. He can go behind. Like he have good angles to pick and like just go back and be in safe place. Or am I wrong?
You're not wrong, because what you're saying is true. But I guess the question is more if a lot of teams choose to kind of let the T's take A and play it on retake, why is it smart for the AWP to be here sometimes? Wouldn't it just be a better idea for the AWP to just never be here and just play 0A every time?
Maybe just to catch someone off guard, like 1 or 2 kills, and then he can go back to CT and play with team. Retake.
You're kind of on the right track. At least the idea is kind of what I talked about. You know, if people rush A, you will typically hear it. Like, you will hear the steps, even if you're mid. Or you will hear like a donut smoke bouncing, or you will hear certain things, right?
Okay.
And the other thing that people can do on A, and this sounds really simple, right, is that they can contact A. But contacting A is almost suicide if there is an AWP playing on A.
Uh-huh.
And so, even though the AWP player might only start on A 20% of the time, if I, as a coach or as a player, like, let's say I would see that my opponents, they never start on A. They always go 3B and 2 mid and play A on retake. Well,
Okay.
I would probably just do like some kind of mid pressure. I would make it look like we are mini B, like someone's doing nades on B. And then I would contact A. And every round, almost, we would be able to walk out A and just get the side for free, when the donut player might still be in mid. Or we could contact out and have very good spacing and just trade out the donut guy and now have the side and get a bomb plant down before the mid player comes back, kind of.
Uh-huh.
But-
So basically, Alper is good for contact plays.
Yes, exactly. And so if I am a coach or a player or whatever, and I am doing like anti-strat, and I see the opponents have it sometimes in buy rounds that the AWP starts on A, all of a sudden contact plays are not so good anymore, right? Because if I want to contact A, and the AWP is big box, and we lose a guy, and now the AWP just throws a Molotov, and then we have to go back, then A contact is all of a sudden not that good of an option. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, what, like, the reason why AWPers sometimes in pro teams, like, okay, I'm making it very black and white right now. Obviously, there can be many reasons why AWPs choose to start here, right? Like, sometimes they start here to block a rush, sometimes for whatever reason. But the point, at least, is the reason for an AWP to start on A is because it nullifies contact plays. And even if you have a T AWP, you can't peak the CT AWP in a good way. Like, you can do this boost where you peak this, for example, and you can also, when you come over here, if he's playing tempo, you can do like the boost in tempo where you like boost and then you peak it like this, where, you know, this tempo AWP will never see you. But the problem is, this boost, for example, well, then the CT orb can just be up here holding this, and then you won't see him. Or the CT orb can be like crouching like this and take the shot and fall back to donut. There's so many places the CT orb can play. So even as a T orb, you can't just go and fight this guy and expect to win the round. That's why, while A side is actually something that teams are very comfortable in the current meta to play retake on, then the reason why teams just don't abuse A every round is because good teams will have a CT orb starting there from time to time, but often enough that the T's don't want to just go for contact plays on A all the time. Does that make sense?
Yes. So they don't play. So they don't have like one player in donut watching mid over mid.
I mean, they can have. You can play like 2B and 2 mid and orb on, like, plus orb on A, kind of. That's how
So
a lot of
donut is how would I say on English? Is calculating just like mid. If you play donut, is same like if you play mid, or am I?
yeah,
on-
kind of.
Okay.
But also, like, what a lot of teams do in the current meta is this, that they are out and holding mid from here, you know, like they have one up heaven who's ready to peek on contact or just standing on angle, whatever, and then you have one down here, and those two are playing mid together, right? Also, just to show you, let me see if I know the nades. You can go here and you can aim here. This is a donut retake smoke.
Oh.
And I think you can do... Is it like that? No, it's W jump through, I think. Let me see. Please land. Ah, it might be on the top of this mountain instead. I will do W jump through again and see if it works. Yes. You can smoke A main. Like this. And then afterwards, let me see if I can do this correct. Don't know if I can. I'm pretty sure there's a lineup where you can Molotov. Yeah. Like this.
Boost.
Yes. So this is, you know, if you're retaking from CT or whatever, you can like potentially even do like full smoke retake and with Molotov boost. And this is again, I failed the Molotov, but whatever. And I failed the smoke, but whatever. I think the smoke is actually kind of, it's a little bit shit. But anyway, if we have smoked these two places and a Molotov boost and whatever, you can even do like Molotov here. If we have Molotov all these places, there isn't really many places for the T's to play, right? Like they can play side, like here or behind the side or whatever, and they can play bogey and they can play inside temple. But other than this, there isn't that many places they can play.
Wait, how? If you know, like they play city or temple, how do you save yourself from getting surprised, like catching you off guard? If you know
Like-
where are they?
Like the T's, you mean?
Yeah. If
So,
you
like-
play like city.
So if we are retaking from CT, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they can push you. How to prevent to catch you off guard? Should we wait a little bit and then like go in, or should we just go in and pre-aim at the location we think to predict?
I think a lot of the times, like when there's a CT smoke, it will still be up, and then everyone will kind of rotate in, and then the CT smoke is still up, and then it will take like a few seconds. And I think as long as you like let the CT smoke fade, and you make sure that you've cleared, like let's say now, okay, I want to make sure, is anyone in the CT smoke? Okay, no one's here. Then maybe I'm holding for like 2-3 seconds to just see, because this is normally the timing where if the T's want to do something, they will do it right after the smoke, you know? Like the smoke fades, and now I will swing, if you know what I mean.
Is that like 100% or just like maybe he will?
I mean,
Maybe
it is,
wouldn't isn't like smarter to push through the smoke and catch off guard the city?
I think if you want to play retake on A, you will typically have like 3 players here, and you can easily have, you know, some people doing the utility and someone holding the smoke. And if someone comes through the smoke, he will kill him. You know?
I see. I see.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, it depends of how many cities and Ts are alive. So
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to prepare for everything, but this is at least some ideas for how you can use your utility to retake. Also, another thing that has become quite meta. I guess I can kind of talk about this as well. Like I talked about how a lot of people do the insta window smokes. I'll show you.
can you show me, because I'm late on the session. I was
Yes.
thinking it was at 10 p.m. not at 9:30.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But basically, just when you spawn on Ancient, people have different lineups for the instant mid smokes. This one is one of the easiest. So you slow walk and you put your crosshair here. And when I hit the bottom, that's when I jump. And this smoke goes over and it hits right here and it lands all the way deep in mid. And then what teams will do is they will come here and they will do Molotov and they will do nade and dodge flash, and then they will maybe go donut or they will peek this. But so to counter this, what people started doing as T is when the Molotov comes in, they will use a smoke here to turn it off, like this, and then they will. A lot of the times when the CTs are doing the nade like this, it will land more at the back instead of the front. So what they do is they go out, they do the smoke here, they have someone flashing from T-spawn, and then they rush with like a Mach-10 here and try to catch the guy in donut. And the new kind of meta thing that a lot of teams, I think basically all pro teams and top FaZe players are doing now, is that because some people like to take mid fast in this way, what some mid players do is they will still get the smoke deep mid, they will go and get the Molotov here to make it look like normal, then they go back and stand kind of in the middle here and aim kind of in the middle here, and then let me do a window smoke here real quick. They will do like this, and then they will check mid. And this is like a super easy lineup. You're just kind of in the middle of this, kind of in the middle of this, and you do double click. And then you can like peek mid with this. So if someone tries to do this where they go fast and they want to go to donut, you can just kill them with M4 from here. And basically every team now is doing this. You don't even need to do it like that complicated. Like worst case, you can just do like underhand, like inside the smoke and then peek. But it's a very, very strong move that I want to say almost every team right now has this kind of a move. Yeah, so that was some of the like kind of new meta things on Ancient. I think now I want to move into talking about how to create a good team culture. I think I will just go on Nuke, because Nuke is a really cool map to run around on, and maybe I can show you some tricks here and there as well. So basically, the idea for this session was I wanted to talk about making a good team culture. Oh no, I did this wrong. And what
does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. What I mean with this is that I've played in a lot of teams. Let me see if I can give you an example of I'll give you an example of a bad team. Or like, I say bad team, but I would say a team where the team culture was bad. Like, when I played in a team called Nordavind, it was, yeah, I think the team culture was very bad. I think, just overall, it didn't feel like people liked playing with each other that much, like playing Counter-Strike with each other. And I think basically what happened was that we all signed our contracts, whatever, And 1 month later, our IGL just benched himself, kind of, and disappeared from Counter-Strike completely and never came back. And then we just didn't have the proper roles, and we didn't really have money to buy players, so we couldn't really get anyone either. And so it ended up being a situation where the in-game leader role was swapped between me and HS many times, and it was sometimes, almost week to week, we were switching roles. Sometimes I was playing AWP, sometimes HS was playing AWP, sometimes Chroman was playing AWP, and it was just a mess. Like, this team actually had pretty good players, and I think we could have accomplished a lot with proper leadership. Not only in terms of an IGL, but also like a strong and decisive coach who, would be having a little bit more authority, I guess, and directing the course of the team. And I think this team, we didn't anywhere near hit our potential. Because I actually think that team did have a ton of potential. We had good players in many of the roles. I'll give you another example. I won't mention the name of this team, but we had a team where it was a professional team, and there was one of the guys on the team who was basically bullying another player the entire time, like calling him bad at the game. He was calling him ugly. He was calling him all sorts of bad names. And this again is a team that has a bad team culture, right? Like, it's not just about there being one toxic person. It's about there being a toxic person and no one saying anything or no one doing anything about it, right? I obviously have, in these cases, also part of the guild, right? I'm not claiming to be perfect, of course. But what I am trying to do as a coach in my current team is I've wanted from day one to give the team a feeling that we are a family. And the reason why this is so important is because, I've never been in the military, and so I can't talk to you too much about how it is in the military. But I assume a lot of the tests that you go through in the military is to build up like camaraderie and just, overall make people feel closer to the point of where they will literally give their life to save each other, right? And in Counter-Strike, while not as dramatic, wanting to, do the right thing to set up your teammate, wanting to do the right thing and dying for your teammate is a really important part of the game. I've had many teams as well where there have been players who, are playing for stats or are making very selfish decisions on the server. Or I had even a teammate that we were close to signing to a professional team I played one time, where when he joined, he refused to change the time that he went to the gym. So he wanted the team's practice schedule to change when he wanted to join the team. Just because he didn't want to go to the gym 30 minutes earlier. Like, some people choose themselves. And one of the best things you can do in a team, if you want a winning team, is a team where people, genuinely want the best for each other. So how do you achieve this? Because I think it is one of the things I'm good at in Counter-Strike, is giving this kind of family feeling. And one of the best things, and this is like one of the most important things of this whole session that I want everyone to listen extra carefully to. For you to have a successful team, you need honesty with each other. Like, you need people to say when they have a problem with something that people are doing on or off the server. And it seems really, really simple, right? But I've played in a million teams where people are afraid to address things with each other. And problems that don't get talked about from player to player will always just grow. They can never be fixed. I've played in many teams as well, and I've been on both ends of it, Like, I think in Nordavind, the players on my team were talking in groups about me behind my back and saying very bad things. In fact, one of the first games I ever played in, it wasn't professional or anything, this was back in 2015. I got the opportunity to play with some of the legendary Danish 1.6 players. And after having played with them for about a week, I had it leaked to me from another player in the team that they were calling me like the most disgusting things while I was a teammate of theirs, right? Which obviously led to me leaving the team because this was again a very toxic environment. But I think what a lot of people, I would call anyone who isn't a pro a casual in this case, I think a lot of casuals don't understand the techniques that pro teams use to like force a healthy environment within the team. Part of it is just honesty, as I said, talking to each other, these kind of things. Like, even in my team, the other day, there was a situation where it was like 4 days ago. Someone from my team approached me and said, hey, there are some people from the team, they have noticed this, and it's starting to become a problem, like something I was doing when I was coaching. They've noticed this, and it started to become a problem, because the more they think about it, the worse it gets, basically. And also, it was a situation where people in the team had been talking about this without addressing it to me. And so when player A goes to player B and talks about a problem with player, like an issue they have with player C, that problem, like, so player A and player B talk about a problem with player C, right? I have never ever seen that go well. When people talk about problems behind someone else's back, that only ever gets worse. Because what it ends up being is, I'll just take a random example. It's one of the easiest examples to take. If player A and player B talk together and they say, player C is baiting all the time. I hate that they are letting me die just to get good stats, for example, right? There's a really common problem in teams. And then every time player A dies, they send a message to player B. Oh, now it happened again. Every time player B dies and player C is nearby, they're baiting me again. Or they sit after the match, they play a couple of phases, and they're like, player C is such a fucking baiter, we should do something about it, blah, blah, blah. And like this, the problem only ever gets worse, because now not only is there a problem, but you also have multiple individuals who are sitting and constantly evaluating if this problem is getting worse or better. And so they focus less on what they need to do and more on what someone else is doing. But if player A, instead of going to player B, if player A goes to player C and addresses the problem, holy shit, what typically happens here is that player A will go to player C and say, hey, I think you are playing too passive in rounds. I think you are baiting me, and I would like you to play more aggressive in certain rounds. There are obviously two ways this can go. Player C can either take this, very personal and can react negatively, or player C can say, hey, I'm really happy you told me. I'll keep an eye out for this, and I'll see if I can improve. There's only one of these scenarios where player C actually has a chance to improve on the issues that they have. And this is, I know it seems like kindergarten level, but I promise you this is like one of the biggest things that ruin a professional team. One of the techniques that is very popular in Counter-Strike, and I guess sports in general, is something called empty the backpack. What empty the backpack basically entails is, it is all 5 players from the team, including coach, and if it's a very professional organization, includes the mental coach as well. When I say mental coach, it might be something you don't know what is. A mental coach is basically like a psychologist employed by the organization, like a sports psychologist. Yes, exactly. Who is helping with anything that's going on mentally with the players. And in an empty the backpack, it is supposed to create a safe space for players to bring up any issue that they have during their matches. Like, this is a perfect environment for player A, for example, to say, hey, player C, I think you are baiting. Maybe don't say it exactly like that, but say, I think you're playing too passive in certain situations. I would like to see you take more risk. I would like to see you, go for more opening duels. I would like to see you blah, 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 blah. And that gives, player C the feedback that they need. But on top of this, player C can also ask the rest of the team, are there other players who feel the same way? If the other players feel the same way and say, hey, I agree, this is an issue and you should look to fix it, well, then player C no longer even has any reason to, argue, because let's say it's a 4 versus 1 situation, right? Like, player C is alone in this, and there are 4 players who agree that player C is playing too passively. Well, in that case, there isn't really much to discuss. The entire team wants player C to play differently. And again, this is a super common occurrence in teams. It can also be something like, I think you are being toxic, or I think you have a really bad mindset when we lose games, or I've had teams where if we would get behind in a pro match, it would just sound like a funeral. Like everyone was immediately giving up. This is also a very common problem, and these are things that just need to be addressed. So this is one of the ways, like, this kind of like giving feedback and being honest about problems is one of the biggest things, right?
Coach, when should we think about those stuff?
Whenever you have a team, basically. If you are inside a team and you have other players on the team, if you ever have a problem with someone, maybe they said something you don't like, maybe they, have been playing poorly, maybe they have been showing up late to practice, maybe they just broke up with their girlfriend and now they are going to bed too late and drinking too much alcohol, or you feel like someone's motivation or work ethic is taking a huge dip, or whatever. It can be literally anything. If you notice these things, you don't have to address it in a public forum. The empty the backpack is like a safe space where you say, okay, now we address all the problems at the same time, right? And that's typically only when it's very needed. Like, my team has done one empty the backpack in the 6 months I've worked with them. But I think some teams do it almost monthly. Some teams maybe even do it more often. I don't know. Just be honest with your teammates about how you're feeling. And if it's something about a specific player and you don't want to bring it up in, on TeamSpeak where everyone can hear it, you can tell them privately as well. You can say, hey, can you hang back after the match is 5 minutes? I'll have a personal talk with you, stuff like this. But this is like an absolute must. And I'll write it down. Honesty is the number 1. Number 2 is have fun. Like, this sounds like such, again, a simple thing, but one of the best ways to create like a good team environment, a good team culture, and have this family feeling is having an environment where everyone shows up to work or practice and are looking forward to it. Like, I want to create an environment in my team as a coach, but also if I was a player, this is always how it was. I want to create an environment in my team where players look forward to practicing on the next day. I want my players to have fun when they are working hard, because I believe that people who are happy play better, and they stay longer in your team, and they put in more effort because it's fun. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Can you tell me how to not feel down when I have a bad game, or like how can I fix the thing to communicate even if I know I'm playing terribly and I'm getting carried by other people? Like I'm basically using it's basically just playing then, because I don't speak anything. I try to kill guy, and then if he kill me, I just say I don't know, maybe minus 20, 30, and that's it. Like, and that's a whole game.
Yeah. I mean, I had a stream earlier today. Maybe you can even rewatch it.
Okay.
Which map was it? I think it was an ancient I played earlier today. And I didn't have a good performance at all. I was the highest elo player in the entire lobby, I think, and I got maybe 10 kills. My team still won the game, and I think part of that is that every time my teammates were getting kills, I was there saying, nice, or let's go, or we're gonna win now, or I was like joking with them, and I was saying like, oh, thank you for carrying me, and stuff like this, you know, like, you can do so much to create good vibes and make people feel confident even when you're not having a good day. And I think
see.
if you do that as well, it takes away pressure from you. So like we had one game where Mia, so AIM from my team, she had like 2 kills and 25 deaths or something ridiculous, right?
Oh.
Okay, maybe not 25, but she had maybe 2 kills, 18 deaths. It was like a horrendous match. And at some point, she just started laughing and saying on TeamSpeak, holy fuck, I'm so insanely bad at this game. And like everyone just starts laughing, and it takes away the pressure because she understands, you know, when people are laughing when she says she's bad, it means that no one is having an issue with it, you know? Like, I think it's really normal that when you play bad, you are too hard on yourself. And a lot of the times, if you just keep a smile on your face and you keep up the good vibes and you don't fight with your teammates and stuff, you actually, you know, maybe you can try to call more if you're not hitting your shots. That's something I do a lot. If I'm having a day where I'm not hitting my shots, whatever, I will try to make up for it by calling more tactics or calling more when I'm dead. Like, I try to stay active and help my teammates as much as I can in other ways. Maybe I try to find ways I can flash for them or something like this. That's my biggest recommendation.
So even if you play like horrible, terrible, like the worst, I don't know. If you fix that, then you like have chance to play on higher stage.
Yes. Like, one of the first things I had to learn when I was a young player was that if you're having a day, like, imagine you are made up of blocks. Like, you as a Counter-Strike player, you're made up of like 5 blocks. You have one block which is aim. You have one block which is communication. You have one block which is movement.
Movement, yeah.
You have one block which is like tactical thinking, right? Or like game sense. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. And let's just say, anyone got an example for the rest?
Wait, is like decision making same like game sense, or is it different topic?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of the same, but let's just for the sake of this say, okay, economy, like knowing when to buy and stuff like this, right? You're made up of 5 blocks. If you take away one, like aim, let's say you're having a day where you simply you feel like you cannot aim, right? Well, just take the energy, like take your 20%, like the block of aim, and try to redistribute it, right? So if you feel like you're having a day where you can't aim very well, try to see if you can do extra with looking at the economy of the other team and try to tell your teammates, oh, now they have eco, now they have, you know? And by doing so, you also better your communication. And if you talk more, it's also possible that you will think more about what's going on the map, and your game sense will improve because, or at least your teammates can focus more on their aim, and their game sense will improve because they have a more clear picture about what's going on, you know? That's part of it, and I think also another part of it is your playstyle. Like, if you having a day where you feel like you are a bad aimer, try to play in a way where you rely less on your aim. Like, it's always better to have a playstyle, in my opinion, that is consistent. You want to be a really good Counter-Strike player, you have to be good on the days where you don't hit your shots. Like, I have plenty of Faceit matches recently where I don't feel like my aim is that good, but I'm winning matches because, like, I'm in the right spots. I'm still doing the right things, basically. So yeah.
I mean, I saw what was I think it was Cologne this year when Navi played against, I think it's G2. Bit was 1-13 in the first map,
Yeah,
and the next map he dominated.
yeah, I saw that as well.
In
That's good.
Inferno it was, if I remember good.
He dominated.
Yeah, but it's exactly this. You need this as a top level player, and this is one of the ways you can do it. Right now, in my last 21 Faceit games, I've won 17, while basically solo queuing. And at the moment, I'm like, top 200 Europe or something like this. So
Nice.
I can tell you, I'm not like having sick aim every match. Never. I don't even play. I have 40 hours past 2 weeks, and a lot of that is coaching, right? So like, yeah, I don't play the game much, but you can just find a playstyle where you can win even if you're not having like the best aim day. I want to get back on track because I have at least one more thing I want to say real quick about like creating a good team culture. And the last thing is kind of just respecting your teammates' private lives. I talked about earlier like this part of having fun. Like, if people have more fun when they play, if they want to show up to practice because they love playing with a team, if they're having fun while they're playing the games and stuff like that, if there's no toxic people and stuff like this, these people are going to play better, and they're also going to give you more effort, basically. But when it comes to like respecting your teammates' private lives, I also believe, I think a lot of players don't think about this very much, but basically, there needs to be what's called like work-life balance, and people need to be able to like work, but also have space for their private lives. They have to be able to see their family. Like in this team right now, NIP Impact, I don't think I've ever played in a team where we are giving so many days off to other teammates. It's incredible. Like, oh, then one person has to want to travel to see their boyfriend. Okay, then we take a day off. Okay, then they have to come back like 1.5 weeks later. Okay, well, maybe we take a day off for that. Then we had someone who needed to travel, very far because they had some PC issues. So they went to a different, they were basically on a kind of summer thing, and now they were back home, right? They needed 3 days off. Okay, then we took 3 days off in the middle of the season. I'm not saying take days off all the time. I'm just saying, if someone has their birthday and they want to celebrate it with their family and eat some cake and have some laughs, maybe don't take an entire day off, but maybe take 2 hours off at the end of the day so that they can spend more time with their family. Or if they want to go to a wedding, let them, it's obviously different if you're like a tier 1 professional team and you have almost no practice days and stuff like this. But especially if you're an amateur, try to make sure that people are able to compete and play and work, but also let them have their fun and let them not feel restricted by playing Counter-Strike. Because you want to feel like a family, and a family makes time for each other as well. Like, if someone has something in their personal life that's very important, let them do it. They will come back with a fresh mindset, and that time that you lost, you won't even notice it. You won't think about it 1 week later. And in the pro teams I've played in, people have been like super strict with this. Like in a season, we would maximum take 2 off days because of personal things. And I mean, it's fine, doing it like that as well. But I believe that if people are able to actually have a life outside Counter-Strike, they perform better inside Counter-Strike. And with how much top players travel and stuff like that, it's just almost impossible. So, yeah, giving people freedom to live their lives is also part of what, creates this family feeling. Did you want to say something?
I wanted to ask one question.
Yeah.
About this.
Yeah.
Do you go to professional team or do you make one? Like with your teammates, you play so good, like Apex did with JL, and they just come to the final of CS:GO Major.
Yeah.
In Paris. So do you go into professional team or do you make one?
I think you go into professional team. Like Apex,
Ah.
for example, when JL joined there, it was also him joining the team. And he was already a pro, you know? He was already playing in Mad Lions and these kind of teams.
I see.
It's-
And how he become like professional when in his mind he wanted to give up on that bet?
I think sometimes it's about right team, like right place, right time, you know? Like, he got a chance at Mad Lions, and I think that was maybe not super successful at the beginning, but it became it. And because they won some tournaments here and there, or at least I think they won one tournament and they had some good showings, then he gets another opportunity, you know? But I would say it's before you go pro that is the big problem. Like, getting into your first pro team, that's the really, really hard part. And after that, staying in the pro scene is a little easier,
Yeah.
I would say.
Because I have some friends. I mean, I'm ignoring them, but they are like putting me down because they say like if you're not gifted with talent from the morning, like you don't basically have a chance. It's like impossible. It's
Yeah.
you're just wasting time. And I saw so many players did that, and they just their like excuse is that they are born with talent. Even if like he played game and he's like I don't know who, for example, like so bad from the start, then he just work hard and then get into professional team tier 1, and yeah.
I think very few people know that they are extremely special and gifted from birth, you know? Like, there are maybe some players like Saiwu and stuff who start playing, local lands in France when he's like 9 years old or something. And I mean, with him, it was probably obvious since day one. But for me, for example, I only started playing in my first, like, kind of actual team with practice times and stuff when I was 20. And before that, I didn't think I was, like, I knew I was pretty good at video games, but I didn't think I could go pro. I didn't even try, until I randomly played with Dupree, and he said that he thought, I had talent to maybe go pro. And then I tried. And then it happened. But someone had to tell me. And I think, like, yeah, I don't think someone like JL, he didn't know when he was 20 that he had talent for CS. Like, maybe he knew he was good, but he didn't know. Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. By the way, guys, I think our time is running out a little bit. I will make space for one more question if someone has a dying question, a burning question.
You gave us an example. I have one question.
Yeah.
You gave us an example of pro team,
Yeah.
and working with them about atmosphere and something.
Yeah.
And how we are supposed to get this into our matches at Faceit.
In Faceit is almost impossible. I mean, the only
Like
thing you can
I
do
don't
in
mean
Faceit-
I don't mean solo queue, but like maybe duo queue or trio, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're spreading good vibes and you're being like happy and you are whatever, that will affect your Faceit matches. But some people in Faceit are just assholes or having a bad day, and you can't change that. It's what I'm talking about today is more like if you actually have a team of 5 players, how you make sure that the 5 players all feel respected and happy and feel like they're good at the game and like feel like there's space for having a life outside the game as well,
Yeah, okay.
I think in Faceit it's hard. Is there one more
Coach,
question?
yeah, like main question. I think this is like everyone want to ask but are shy.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's a deep question, but like you can answer really fast and simple.
Yeah.
how to actually go pro. I asked every single coach when we have session,
Yeah.
because I want every opinion.
Yeah.
And I think you're the best one to describe
you.
because you are the professional player.
Yeah, thank you. I think okay, the best thing to do to go pro is just play really fucking good. If you play super good and you do it for a long time, someone will eventually spot you. But I think the best way to go pro is like find a team, well, play a lot, try to grind, like get good at solo queue and all this, but also try to get into a team. And if your team achieves something, a good result, then people will know your name. Like for me, I made a team by myself with just people I met in matchmaking basically, and some friends, and we won a tournament, and that put us on the map. And then it still took me after that 3 years to become pro, but I think that tournament was what started it. Like, I think the best thing if you want to go pro, especially right now in Counter-Strike, is find a team and play there. Like, if you play ESEA Open and the next season you play Intermediate and the next season you play Main and then whatever, maybe you join a new team which is in Advanced or whatever, like, that's the way forward. Playing in a team is definitely the best way to improve, but also to achieve something in CS.
I see. When you said like to play a lot and be so fucking good at this game, how to play? I mean, this is one more question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can do it.
How yes? How do you grind a game, like, but not just clicking play, but actually learning and getting more and more like knowledge, skill and experience, but not just like I'm playing game and if I play 100,000 hours, I will be like pro player, and that's not gonna happen, obviously.
I see it like this. If you want to work on your mechanics, like your aim and your whatever, like mechanics, just play a lot. Like someone
Okay.
like Dunk, he just plays a shit ton, and that's why he has extremely good mechanics. If you play a lot, you will get really good mechanics. If you want to improve in your game sense, your team play, and like this, what you say, like basically everything else, like play a lot, but do it with breaks. Like maybe play 2 or 3 phases and take a break of 1 hour, and then play another 2 phases and take another break. Play another 2 phases, take another break. Or maybe play only 4 or 5 phases per day, but think a lot about what happened in the phases. Like, what could you have done better? Maybe watch your demos back, stuff like this. That's my best advice.
Okay, and what is the third thing? Because you told first was mechanics and second was like game sense, and what is the third thing?
I mean, there is no third thing. Like, it's just mechanics. If you want good aim, you need to seriously just play a shit ton. But everything else, it's better to play like a lot, but in moderation. Like take breaks and stuff like this. I don't think if you have 130 hours past 2 weeks, you are the best version of yourself, basically. But you will get very good aim. And so okay, I will say this:
I see.
if you want to peak, if you have a important tournament or something, play a shit ton like 3-4 days before, so that you're peaking at the right time. But on a general basis, I would try to stay between the 60 to 80 hours past 2 weeks. That's, I think, the best.
60 to like in 1 week I should play 80 hours of like.
Past 2 weeks. You have the stats on Steam. Like,
Past 2 weeks.
yeah, 60 to
I
80, I
see.
think, is a good.
Or like
good.
40 like hours 1 week.
I
Yeah.
actually checked today. I have 84 in past 2 weeks.
Okay, that's a pretty good amount. So you can stay around that. I think that's good. But anyway, guys, I really need to close the session now because I have to get up very early tomorrow, as
Yes.
always on Thursdays.
Sorry.
But no, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. But yeah, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for coming to the session. I hope you found it helpful as well. And also, since my team is competing in the Impact League and it has started recently, if you would want to, we could take a look at some of the best female teams and see why are they better than the others, and also why are they not as good as the top male teams, for example. Like, where are the issues? I think that could be a fun session. So yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good
Take
luck
care.
with